After the end of World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater has one of the best stories a video game has ever had. The game is a prequel to the previous games, Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and is set in the 60s Soviet Union, making it the earliest game in the Metal Gear series. In Metal Gear Solid 3, you play as Naked Snake, a CIA agent tasked with rescuing Soviet rocket scientist named Sokolov, who wishes to escape the Soviet Union. Snake is supported in the mission by his commanding officer, Major Zero, medical specialist Paramedic, weapons specialist Sigint, and Snake's former mentor and World War II war hero, the Boss. In the universe of Metal Gear, the Boss was the leader of the Cobra Unit during World War II. The Cobra Unit was vital to America's success during D-Day and winning World War II for the Allies. The Boss had personally trained Snake for many years, although at the beginning of Snake Eater, it has been 5 years since the last time Snake has talked to the Boss. The opening of Snake Eater is known as the Virtuous Mission, and sees Snake attempt to rescue Sokolov from a Soviet factory in the USSR. Sokolov tells Snake about the Shagohod, a nuke-launching tank that he created. As the two escape, they encounter a Russian GRU major named Ocelot, who likes to show off with flashy weapons tricks and leads a unit of soldiers. Ocelot and Snake fight, during which Snake criticizes Ocelot's strategy and weapon techniques.
You ejected the first bullet by hand, didn't you? I see what you were trying to do, but testing a technique you've only heard about in the middle of battle wasn't very smart. You were asking to have your gun jam on you. Besides, I don't think you're cut out for an automatic in the first place. You tend to twist your elbow to absorb the recoil. That's more of a revolver technique.
This interaction would be the beginning of multiple encounters throughout the rest of the game and the start of a friendly rivalry between the two.
Ocelots are proud creatures. They prefer to hunt alone.
After the fight, Snake and Sokolov continue their escape. However, as they cross a foggy bridge, they encounter the last person Snake would have expected. The Boss. The Boss reveals that she and the Cobra Unit are defecting to the Soviet Union and are taking Sokolov and an American Davy Crockett nuke with them.
Recoilless nuclear warheads. These will make a fine gift for me.
The Boss defeats Snake using close quarters combat, throwing him off the bridge and leaving with Sokolov, the Cobra Unit, and USSR GRU commander Colonel Volgin, who is leading a faction with the goal to overthrow Khrushchev and plans to use the Shagohod to do it. Volgin also has the ability to fire electricity as projectiles. The opening ends with Volgin firing the Davy Crockett at a Soviet research facility and stealing the Shagohod.
I think it's time I gave this marvelous new toy a try.
Colonel, even if they are our enemies, they're still our countrymen.
But it won't be me that pulled the trigger. It'll be our friend, the American defector.
You're going to nuke your fellow Russians?
Remember the Alamo.
Colonel!
Due to the United States activity in the area, the USSR accuses the US of firing a nuke at Soviet territory. To avoid a potential nuclear exchange with the USSR, President Johnson makes a deal with Khrushchev. Following Snake's recovery, he will return to the USSR to stop Volgin, destroy the Shagohod, and assassinate the Boss. This mission will be Operation Snake Eater. This is where the game really begins. Snake returns to the USSR and quickly encounters the Boss, who disarms him, taking his weapon and telling him that he needs to decide whether his loyalty is to the US or to her.
What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your old mentor? The mission or your beliefs? Your duty to your unit or your personal feelings?
Snake is unable to stop the Boss from escaping, and makes his way to a contact who will assist him in the mission. Snake meets with a double agent named Eva, who supplies him with a tranquilizer pistol and other supplies. The following morning, Snake takes out several Ocelot unit soldiers before encountering Ocelot himself. Ocelot listens to Snake's advice, swapping his pistol for a revolver, but Snake criticizes the revolver's engraving, saying it provides no tactical advantage.
Well, it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been showing off.
What did you say?
It's a nice gun, I'll give you that. But the engraving gives you no tactical advantage whatsoever. Unless you were planning to auction it off as a collector's item. And you're forgetting one more very basic thing. You don't have what it takes to kill me.
Ocelot is holding Eva hostage, but is unable to see her face due to her motorcycle helmet. As a result, Eva's cover is not blown. When Ocelot attempts to shoot Snake, the gun fails to shoot. Taking advantage of the moment, Eva quickly escapes Ocelot, and in one of the most over-the-top moments in the Metal Gear series, hits Ocelot with her motorcycle, doing a backflip and speeding away. Ocelot also escapes and Snake continues through the jungle. While going through an underground cave, Snake fights Cobra unit member the Pain, a man with the power to control hornets, and fights Snake in a flooded tunnel. After defeating the Pain and getting out of the tunnel, Snake ends up at a small base. Suspecting that Sokolov could be held in the base, Snake infiltrates the base and meets a Soviet rocket scientist named Granin. Granin explains that his bipedal tank design was rejected in favor of Sokolov's Shagohod, and reveals where Sokolov and the Shagohod are located. Both are being held in Volgin's base, Groznygrad.
It is a revolutionary mobile nuclear missile system. A bipedal tank. Sokolov's pathetic Shagohod pales in comparison to my work. My project has been terminated. The Philosopher's legacy has been handed over to him.
What the hell are you talking about?
Snake makes his way to Groznygrad and fights the other members of the Cobra unit. These fights are with the Fear, a guy who has the ability to go invisible, climb trees very fast, and attack Snake with a crossbow. The Fear's fight takes place in a part of the jungle filled with traps and climbable trees. The end, and an over 100-year-old man who is referred to as the father of modern sniping. His fight is a sniper battle in 3 open areas. And finally, the Fury, a former astronaut who uses a jetpack and flamethrower to attack Snake.
I am the Fury! The flames of my rage will incinerate you. I came back from space. As I returned, I had one vision. The world set ablaze. And do you know what I saw there? Fury!
Finally arriving at Groznygrad, Snake infiltrates the base, disguising himself as one of Volgin's men. Snake finds Sokolov, however, his disguise fails to trick Volgin and results in his capture and Volgin killing Sokolov. Snake wakes up hanging from the ceiling. Volgin, Ocelot, the boss, and Eva are in front of him. Volgin begins interrogating Snake. He believes that Snake is trying to steal an object known as the Philosopher's Legacy, an item that Snake has never heard of. Volgin tortures Snake using electricity, and when Eva objects to Snake's treatment and Volgin's methods, her allegiance is questioned by Ocelot.
Why are you protecting him?
To test Eva's allegiance, Ocelot uses a more complex game of Russian roulette.
Here we go.
Right as Eva is about to be shot, Snake gets in the way, taking the bullet, but in the process loses an eye. Believing that to be enough for one day, Volgin throws Snake into a jail cell. Snake escapes the cell and flees Groznygrad through an underground waterway. While going through the tunnel, Snake is cornered at a waterfall by Ocelot. Before Ocelot is able to pull the trigger, Snake jumps off the waterfall, escaping to the river below. As Snake goes through the river, he encounters the final member of the Cobra unit, the Sorrow, a man who is dead, and shows Snake the ghosts of those he killed. Interesting fact, the amount of ghosts in this area is based on how many enemies you killed, so if you get through the game without killing a single soldier, the area is empty. Following Snake's escape from the Sorrow, he reunites with Eva, who returns him his equipment and leaves to return to Volgin. The next day, Snake returns to Groznygrad and plants multiple C3 around and on the Shagohod. Snake is caught, and Eva has her cover blown. Volgin wants to kill Eva, but the boss offers to do it instead. Volgin agrees, letting the boss take Eva, and begins to explain the Philosopher's legacy to Snake. After World War II, powerful people from the US, Soviet Union, and China formed a secret organization called the Philosophers, and the group gathered over $100 billion. That money was divided and stored in multiple bank accounts around the world, and the Philosopher's legacy is a microfilm allowing access to the money. Volgin fights Snake on a lowered platform, attacking Snake with electricity. Throughout the battle, Volgin repeatedly demands Ocelot shoot at Snake, but Ocelot refuses and walks away, betraying Volgin. Snake defeats Volgin and is is rescued by Eva, and they speed away as the hangar explodes. But the Shagohod wasn't destroyed. Volgin pilots it out of the hangar through the fire and debris, and begins chasing Snake and Eva with it. Following a chase and an RPG battle, Volgin is defeated and the Shagohod is destroyed.
Who's afraid of a little thunder?
Fried by a bolt of lightning. A fitting end.
Snake escorts a wounded Eva through the jungle, avoiding troops and to the seaplane. Eva gets the seaplane ready, but Snake can't leave yet. Snake goes to confront the boss. Before the fight starts, the boss reveals a scar she acquired on D-Day. She also explains that while taking part in a NASA project in the 50s, she saw the world from high orbit, which gave her the inspiration to bring peace across the world. The fight, in a field of white flowers, sees the boss attack Snake using CQC and a machine gun. The boss is the only enemy character who can use CQC against the player. The fight is the ultimate test of what the player has learned throughout the game. The player must be able to dodge machine gun blasts and can only do damage to the boss using CQC, while a countdown timer for an airstrike on their position is going down. Once Snake defeats the boss, she gives him the Philosopher's Legacy and asks him to kill her. Snake reluctantly kills the boss using her own gun.
Do it. There's only room for one boss and one Snake.
White flowers turn red following the sound of a gunshot. Snake flees the location and returns to the seaplane. As Snake and Eva take off, Ocelot chases them on a hovering vehicle. Ocelot gets on the plane and challenges Snake to a duel using a single bullet and 2 revolvers. Following Ocelot showing off with tricks, he lets Snake choose which revolver he will use. The game lets the player decide which revolver to choose. Depending on which gun Snake chooses, either he will shoot Ocelot or Ocelot will shoot him, but the gun isn't loaded. The single bullet was a blank. In both choices, it is clear that Ocelot and Snake have a mutual respect for each other, and Ocelot jumps out of the plane into the lake. Snake and Eva escape to Alaska, where the next morning Snake wakes up to Eva gone and the Philosopher's Legacy missing. The only thing left is a recording where Eva explains that she was a spy from China who was supposed to steal the legacy.
I'm an agent of the People's Republic of China for the General HQ 2nd Department of the People's Liberation Army. You see, my mission was to find out where Volgin was hiding the Philosopher's Legacy and steal it.
Alongside that, Eva reveals that the boss never actually betrayed her country. Instead, the boss was tasked with infiltrating the GRU to steal the Philosopher's Legacy. The Davy Crockett was used as proof of her defection. When Volgin used the Davy Crockett to destroy the facility and the US was blamed for it, the plan changed. The boss would be blamed for the attack and would be branded as a traitorous monster. The boss knew she would not be able to return alive, and as a result allowed Snake to kill her in the field in order to protect the US. She was loyal to her country till the end, and the world will never know it. She will go down in history as a monster who nearly caused nuclear war, and only a few will ever know the truth.
Future generations will revile her. In America as a despicable traitor with no sense of honor. And in Russia as a monster who unleashed a nuclear catastrophe. She will go down in official history as a war criminal.
Snake is given the title of Big Boss by President Johnson.
You are above even the boss. I hereby award you the title of Big Boss.
The game ends with Snake at the grave of the boss. He leaves her gun in front of it and salutes it.
Everything she did for her country. She sacrificed her life and her honor for her native land. She was a real hero. She was a true patriot.
Post-credit scene reveals that the legacy Eva took was actually fake, and Snake and Ocelot each had half of the legacy, and both were given to the CIA. Snake Eater's story sounds like the origin of a hero, but the truth is that Big Boss becomes a war criminal and a monster and the villain of the early Metal Gear games. But that story is told in the next games in the timeline. The next game in the story of Metal Gear Solid will discuss themes of nuclear deterrence, mankind's ability to destroy itself, and what must be done to maintain peace. Big Boss's story will continue in Metal Gear Solid: Peace Walker.
When heavens divide, I will see the choices